Hey guys, brand new podcast. I notice a lot of people say "Hey guys" these days, and I just want everyone to just get behind me. I created "Hey guys," like I've been saying "Hey guys" for as long as I've been doing my podcast. Hey guys, brand new pod. Hey guys, and I notice like all on Instagram it's "Hey guys, hey guys." Hey, do you know Twitter has a new? Do I have anything to promote? My show, The Cabin, is streaming right now on Netflix. Check it out, enjoy it, share it with a friend, watch it over Thanksgiving. We should go viral over Thanksgiving. I need to do a big Thanksgiving Day campaign. That's a great idea. Bert, did I just tell myself I had a great idea? Hey, it's my loving wife who has finished our podcast studio.
Well, no, just the construction.
Look
how short I look. This looks ridiculous. I look like a munchkin.
A mini me.
A munchkin.
Man,
Munchkin land.
I want to see what
already tiny as it is.
My dick must look big in this comparison.
Is that better?
No.
That's ridiculous.
You look tiny.
You need to back up.
Okay. Now you're here. If I go back here, then we're the same.
Now I go back. Now you go up.
I got a new chair last night, and I put it together, and my feet don't touch the ground. It's a big and tall chair.
It's a Halston chair.
Halston, you're gonna love this chair.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be like,
How do I get myself one of those? Like this?
No, it's like this.
Oh, this.
Skipper fingers. So we were at the man cave at the new podcast studio. It looks fucking great. We're so excited. Not sure how we're going to do the whole COVID thing because we are going back into purple. Right now, my shows are still on for San Diego or wherever it's, I don't know, Escondido. Mm-hmm. So I know we're in purple, but right now we're still a go. So I'm excited.
You're still green.
We may be purple, but I'm still green. Man, if you want more of those Leantics, check out wifeotp.com. Wife of the Party is my wife's podcast. You should have on your podcast is Tamara Day.
Oh, that's a great idea.
She's awesome. We were obsessed with this new show, Bargain Mansions, and the host it's like sometimes, you know what I love about home improvement shows is when you find people that really do it for a living.
Yeah, she really does it for real.
Like sometimes they cast people, which is cool, and they're good actors, so they do the job. But like when she made this bathroom last night. Hey, where are you thinking about putting those blue tiles anyway?
In our shower.
Oh, these blue tiles in the shower that she did are so awesome. And it just was a coolest shower. It had a tub and then a wall, and then there was an open shower.
Well, it was a pony wall. It was a half.
Okay, wall. I'm not into construction.
Yeah, it
okay,
wasn't a full wall.
I'm crushing your head. Anyway, today's podcast is brought to you by Benebone. My dogs fucking love Benebone. We opened it on Instagram stories and my dogs went nuts. I've never seen either of my dogs go so quickly to a bone. I was like, what? And now they fight. They fight over the one Benebone. They're obsessed with one Benebone, which is great because in the past, the things these dogs have chewed, and that's what's great about these chew toys, is it's good for their teeth, it's good for their brains to not have them focus on other stuff, and it is good for their teeth. More importantly, it is so good for them not to chew on the stuff around the house. Izzy has a thing with shoes. She also has a thing with hats. She'll take a hat. I swear to God, almost all of my hats, you can see dog slobber on because she'll grab a hat and walk around with it in her mouth. Now she grabs these Benebones. These Benebones, I swear to God, my dogs are obsessed with them. They've got great flavors like the porky goodness of real bacon, plus chicken or peanuts. Benebone's engaging, long-lasting chew toys come with a unique design that makes it easy to get a good chomp going. Benebone is a small family-owned business that takes pride in doing right by dogs and the people that own those dogs. Unlike corporations in this industry, everything is designed and sourced and made in the USA. And with their happiness guarantee, you can reach out for help and connect with a real person quick. I'm being serious. If you've got a big dog, I mean little dog, any dog, my dogs I'm not joking at all. I'm not overselling this at all. They fell in love with these. This is a present to get your dog. I'm telling you right now. Check out Benebone at chewy.com. That's CHEWY.com and use the promo code BERT for 30% off your first order. That is Benebone, BENEBONE at chewy.com with the promo code BERT. to get 30% off your first order. Today's podcast is with Adam DeVine. Now, you know Adam DeVine from Workaholics, from Pitch Perfect, from the mighty gems,
the Righteous Gemstones.
The Righteous Gemstones. I was going to say, I wonder if that's what I was calling Adam Sandler's movie. Precious Gemstones. The Righteous Gemstones. He's a fantastic actor. He's been and creator. I mean, the projects he's created himself are amazing. I will stand by this. Workaholics is going to go down in history as one of the fucking greatest work show comedies. It's like Cheech and Chong. I say that to him. We talk a lot. I've known Adam for a while.
Wait, this. Did you say that? Did you see that happen?
I saw that.
It just. I feel like I was in quicksand. I thought, what's going on? Oh, I'm sinking.
I would love to see you in quicksand.
Sorry.
There's so much dirt on this fucking dirt.
Austin, could you see me sinking?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been sinking in that chair. Every time, you don't know how many podcasts have happened where I just started sinking and then I can't bring myself up because it'd be too distracting. I just stay down there.
We're going to love this chair, Halston. Hey, do me a favor. Clip me out of Leanne sinking and just send it to me. This podcast is great. Adam DeVine. Adam is from Pitch Perfect, all 3 Pitch Perfects. He's had an amazing acting career. But I think we talk about this to Titch. What's the matter? He's still laughing about the sinking thing?
It's pretty funny.
It was very funny to watch you slowly. I wish you had just gone out of scene.
But I didn't really know what was happening. So I was going, I'm sinking. Like I couldn't just stand up. I could have just stood up. Maybe you're rubbing off on me. Maybe that victim mentality is really getting.
Hey, we're not in therapy right now, okay? Adam DeVine is also a stand-up comedian. He's from Omaha. We talk, God damn it, let's just get the fucking podcast started. You know who Adam DeVine is. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, today's Bertcast, Adam DeVine.
He's the man, the myth, the legend.
What's up, dude?
What's up, man? How's it going? Good to see
I've
you.
never heard of Kyle Newacek.
What about it, Kyle? Yeah.
I just saw you. I was just looking at your podcast, and I saw Kyle, and I've heard Kyle's name a million times.
Mhm.
But I don't think I've ever put a name to a face.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. He's, he looks like a garbage person, but he's actually a great guy. He looks like a human trash heap, but he's actually really cool.
So wait, tell me. Let's start. What's dude? It's so good. You're like a good luck charm in my life. Every time I've seen you, good things happen to me.
I was just looking through old photos. I tend to do that. It was my birthday last week. It was your birthday too, right? Or we're close to. Yeah, I'm the 7th. And I was like looking through old photos and I found that photo when me and you drunkenly just stumbled into each other on Bourbon Street. Remember that? Like that was like 8 years ago or something. And so I remember thinking, what an awesome night that one was.
That is everything that's wrong with me and everything that's right with me in one story.
Yeah, I think I feel the exact same way about that. I'm like just me drunkenly on Bourbon Street. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was with Trip Flip. I was with the Trip Flip group, the Travel Channel group, and one of my buddies I grew up with. And I saw you guys walking down the street, and I knew you, but I didn't know you to know you. Like I didn't know you to be like, I didn't be like, hey Adam. But I saw you guys walking, and I was like, I know that if I say hi, he'll say hi. Like, and I was so drunk, and all I think I said was, "I'm Bert Kreischer." I was on a balcony, and you go, "The machine," and you came up, and we came up and hung out.
Like, yeah, you are. Yeah, because I knew you. I don't know even if you remember this because it was so long ago, but I was the door guy at the Improv in 04 to 06. So I like knew you as just a comedian who was, you also kind of take tabs when you're a door guy at a comedy club on like who you think is kind of a piece of shit or who's just nice, to be nice. And then who you actually think is like, because just like I go deep and call out everyone that's ever been rude to me. Oh,
let me tell you something. When I worked the door at the Boston Comedy Club, and I'll tell you who's a dick. I mean, I remember this fucking assholes. We were like, I hope that guy doesn't succeed. And then,
and it's like, for the most part, they don't. They'll have like guys that are total pricks that maybe are pretty funny. They'll have a couple good years, but then people don't really want to hang out or support a guy that is a piece of shit. So for the most part, there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, they go away. You know what I mean? They have like 2 or 3 good years, and then they sort of hot fizz.
What's that like? What's that? I remember waxing poetically about you to whoever I was with. We were in Spokane, maybe. It's when when I ran into you, and I said, I ended up talking to you about it. I will never get to have your experience in Hollywood, and you'll never get to have mine. But they're equally important. And I remember kept saying, like, you were like congratulating me. And you were like, dude, you're selling out clubs. That's really fucking huge. And I mean, you just played the theater. And I was like, thank you. And I kept saying, you'll never know how much that means to me that you're saying that. Because and it was interesting because I was like, I'd had some success younger and then kind of like fucking kind of just did Travel Channel shit and done just not really blown up or anything. Mm-hmm. And then when I started selling tickets, to have people that I respected congratulating me was great. And I remember saying to you, you'll never get that. But you get your experience in Hollywood is so uniquely, so unique because you were the door guy and then created the Workaholics and then blew the fuck up. And all of a sudden leapfrogged all those dicks that were guys at the front door that were like,
yeah, that was a good feeling, admittedly. When I'd see them again and everyone that was definitely assholes to me or something like, bro, what's up? Good to see you. You actually know I'm coming in Thursday to audition for Stoner number 3. And I'm like, oh, are you? Okay, see you then. I'll make sure to look at the tape. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I thought, because a lot like people don't, until I came out with my Netflix special, a lot of people didn't even know I did stand up. You know what I mean? Like when I'd go on tour, I would sell tickets because people were like, oh, we like that guy. And then people were like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, stand-up comedy. What do you mean? And they're like, oh, well, I just thought you were going to get chug beers for an hour. And I'm like, well, I might do some of that, but yeah, so I really looked up to guys, like you, like guys that I thought were really funny, that were grinding, that were doing, back in the day, if I just could get to a point that I could headline the improvs and sell them out and make a bonus and then you can raise a nice family and have, not be poor. I'm like, that's all I wanted was not to be poor and to go out to restaurants and not be like, ooh, just the side salad, be able to order a whiskey and a steak and not have to sweat it. And that was kind of the goal. And so when all the workaholic stuff sort of happened, and to sort of got to where I've gotten, it was definitely a surprise, a welcome surprise. It was that was the dream, but I was looking at that guys like you that were grinding in the improv stuff. And I was like, I would love to do that.
Oh, it's funny. It's all our goals. And I think that it's interesting to me to be able to have that been my thing. And then to go on to the other side for as long as you get to go there and sell some theaters and have bigger things happen. It's really fascinating because, and I always call it survivor's remorse because I'll always ultimately be that guy. I want to say their names, like my friends who are just headlining, who are funny as fuck, hard to follow, but for whatever reason, they haven't gotten that thing of luck You said it. I heard you say it on an interview one time. Maybe I did. I have so many things that I feel like I've heard of you say on interviews, or you've said to me that I can't remember which is which.
For sure, yeah.
But you said you acknowledge the weird luckiness of things in this business, which is what I'm like obsessed with, because I go, you can work as hard as you want. We all know those guys who bust their ass working hard as shit, but just haven't gotten an opportunity. Like for whatever reason, they didn't link up with the right people at the right time. And I mean, I've said this to you a million times. Workaholics was such an amazing show.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we
were fucking good.
And to that point that you just said, it was super lucky that we were making videos at that time and putting it out and kind of got in front of Comedy Central in the way that we did. And lucky that I was doing stand-up. So we were kind of on the comedy, and I got live at Gotham or whatever. And
it's such a crazy thing. You're doing stand-up. Durs is a writer's assistant.
That's right.
Kyle's gone to film school, correct?
Yep.
And it's like, it's a convergence of very like-minded sense of humor, but with all very different skill sets that creates, you probably wouldn't say this, but I will say this. That's a stamp of a generation. That's like Cheech and Chong. That show is going to be talked about in history books. It was that fucking good. I love that show.
Well, thanks, man. Dude, it is so weird now because we came out in 2011. You know what I mean? Like that's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Like, that's a kind of a long fucking time. And so I'm getting like men, like guys that I'm like, yeah, you're an adult man with a beard who could kick my ass. You've trained, you're like in the UFC, you're like guys like that. And you're like, and they're like, dude, I've been watching you since middle school. And I'm like, what? You know, because I still feel like I'm new to this shit. And then when you go to the clubs and you see those like 22-year-old comics that are just starting to figure it out, and you're like, oh, I bet you're going to be fucking great in like 2-3 years, you know?
Yeah.
But you remember when you were just starting, when someone would say, oh, dude, you're going to be fucking killer in 2 or 3 years. You were like, motherfucker. 2 or 3 years, that's a lifetime. I will be dead by then. You will find my bloated body in a ditch in 2 or 3 years.
Someone told me 20 years. I was like, 20 years? 20 years? I'm going to fucking still be doing this in 20 years? I better be good in 2 to get to 20.
That is so funny.
Yeah. It's,
dude, you're gonna cross when you're 60, Bert. You're gonna annihilate.
Oh man, that the length of, I was so hungry for success when I was younger, and hardcore secret time. Workaholics was the first project that a comic did that I allowed myself to like and be a fan of and not be in competition with. It was something that what's that?
You know, I think because Tom kind of said the same thing to me as well when the show first came out. And there's been a handful of comics that are a little bit older than me, and I think it's because we didn't know each other that well. You know what I mean? Yeah, it wasn't like I'm not like a true peer of yours. Like we didn't come up at the exact. I'm like a class younger. You know how like comedians kind of come up in graduating classes.
Maybe. I wonder if that's why. I wonder because I like Tosh.0 and Tosh.0. Tosh.0 was on with you guys, and those were my 2 shows. And I love Daniel. I think Daniel's the best. But
he's so funny, yeah.
But yeah, man, fucking Workaholics. It's like I had an English teacher, Bob Wiener, who used to say, if I listened to REM, I remember graduating college and driving through the country. Every time I listen to REM, dude, I mean, all I got to do is see someone with Blake's hair, and I think of us buying this house and me in that back bedroom and being off the road and going to my DVR and seeing all the ones I can watch and watching them in a row.
No shit.
Row. Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
It was such it was such an amazing show.
I know. And I mean, to be perfect, I miss it. There was something so fun about having your own show and knowing that people are going to watch it. It's not like you do a show and you're like, it's a rolling the dice, you know, you're like, well, people may or may not like it. But once Workaholics got up and running, it was like, oh, I know that a few million people are going to watch every week. and they are going to be excited about it. And that was so fun. And to like go and have like your, you know, cause it's a TV show. So you got like 100, 200 people working for you. And so it's like cool to like go. And it was like being in high school or something where it's just all of your friends and it's just like a big goddamn party.
Was it a hit right out the gates?
No, it grew every week. That was what was cool. It's like it started off with 100,000 or whatever. I'm making up numbers, but and then it grew exponentially every week. And then they put season 1 on Netflix, and then that blew up. And then by the time we came out with season 2, it was like 2.5 million people watching the first episode of season 2, and then it grew to like 3 million a week. And for Comedy Central, that was like, it might as well have been like 50 million. They were like, and so, none of us expected it. We hoped that people would like it, but I think it was like the right place, like right time, like we were saying about just sort of like being lucky and striking when the iron's hot. And also we did work really hard at it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The fucking scripts were, I mean, the show was so well written. I mean, I hate to say this. I hate to say this because I know that this is a hot button issue, but the fucking D'Elia episode was so hilarious. It was so hilarious. I know that we're not allowed to like, it's like
say his name anymore.
But that fucking episode where, you know, I'm sure even Chris is like, hey man, just don't bring up that episode. That was an actor. But that fucking episode was I mean, I was crying laughing in my bed.
Well, for people that don't know what that episode is, it was we were going to catch a predator or someone, and we're like, we're going to get this scum off the streets. And then he shows up to our house thinking he's going to fuck a little kid. And he's just the coolest guy in the world. And we end up being good friends with him because he's so goddamn cool. And I remember pitching that. I forget who pitched it, but I remember we were tossing that idea around in the room and we were like crying, laughing, how funny it would be to like befriend a predator.
When he shows up with weed and video games and you guys are like, well, hold on. Is that the new, whatchamacallit? That was such a brilliant episode.
Oh, it's like a gravity bong. It's like, is that the Gravitron 3000 or whatever? Stupid.
What was it? I'm curious about a lot of things, but I'm curious, what was it like having your character in Workaholics kind of get in front of you? Meaning like everyone saw that character and was like, that's him. He smokes pot all day. He drinks tequila. He's a fucking wasteoid. When you're not, I remember you telling me one time I remember you telling me distinctly because you told me you got hit by a cement truck and I couldn't stop laughing. I thought you were joking. And it's such a hilarious truck to get hit by.
Yeah. Such a funny truck to, yeah. Yeah. I was hit by a clown car is basically what I'm saying.
And you were like, yeah. And I think that's when I decided I was, going to get into acting or that my life changed or whatever you were saying because that thing. And I was like, oh, this is a very thoughtful, this is not the character you play on Workaholics is a character. It's not you.
Well, the thing is it's 20% me, you know what I mean? Cause I am a party maniac and I do like to have fun and I can drink like 24 beers in a sitting, I am a maniac, but then also you can't get successful if you're like that 100% of the time. And I know you deal with it too, because you're known as like being the party animal, but like you can't create hours of stand-up comedy if you're not being thoughtful about the process and going through the steps that you have to go through. If you're just partying the whole time, then you're just a drunk. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything else.
No one ever rewards us for that. Like everyone always goes like says, what about your lifestyle? And I'm like, hold on, man. I'm working. You're missing the fact that I'm fucking working. I've got 4 fucking specials on Netflix that like clearly I've got my shit together somewhat.
Yeah. And also I'm like, if you can't party and party is one thing, but if you can't celebrate the good times
Yeah.
And the way I like to celebrate is to get drunk and smoke weed with my friends. And other people like to do, I don't know, more boring shit than that. But that's what I like to do. And if you can't celebrate the milestones in your life, then then what's the point? Why you're just successful for success sake, and you're just a megalomaniac. It's like I like to get success and then celebrate that success.
My life is defined by treats.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we both
at the end of the day.
We both subscribe to the same theory, the treat theory, as I like to call it.
So when you were doing Workaholics, pair it with your movie success, because season 1 of Workaholics, had you already shot Pitch Perfect?
No, that actually, I auditioned for Pitch Perfect. And I say it in my special, but it is a true story. I auditioned for Pitch Perfect season 1 of Workaholics on my lunch break of an episode where they were like, the producers like you for this. Can you go in? And I'm like, I don't have time. I'm working on Workaholics right now. Like, this is my show. I don't have time to go do this. And they're like, just do it. And so we figured it out that I could have a couple hours to drive my ass to Santa Monica, audition for this, and get back to being the final scene of the day. And so I'm haul ass there. And I think it's Pitch Perfect. I'm bad at reading emails. I'm good at memorizing. So I knew that I could just look at the sides and have it by the time they called my name to go in. And so I didn't look at it until I get there. And I think at Pitch Perfect, I think it's a baseball movie. So when I go in and I see all these like handsome ass dudes like singing, I'm like, good luck with the singing, you pussy. This is a baseball. And I'm out there stretching and shit, like thinking I'm going to be like a wisecracking catcher. And no joke, that when I did the scene, realized it's not a baseball movie. And they were like, what song did you prepare? And I'm like, oh, I didn't prepare a song. Take it or leave it, And they're like, leave it, get the fuck out of here. And then I go, they were like, what song? Just any song, just something that could be from your childhood, something a lot of the words to. We just need to know you could carry a tune. And the only song I could think of was Whatever Happened to Predictability, the Milkman, the Paperboy, the Evening TV. And I got the fucking part, man. Don't know how it happened, but I booked it and I shot that. I left the season 1 or season 2. Yeah, no, season 1 was airing. Sorry, it was season 2. And then I left the season 2 wrap party to go shoot Pitch Perfect in Louisiana.
And was that your first big movie?
Yeah.
That movie, I saw the treble feature. That's where they played Pitch Perfect 1, Pitch Perfect 2, and Pitch Perfect 3 in the same movie theater with my daughters and all their friends. That was my day.
Oh, wow. Treat yourself.
By the way, I fucking love that movie. I swear to God, those movies were so good that I was, and I mean, I know that I'm not the demographic, but God damn it, man. Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, she's great.
Fucking amazing. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, for whatever reason, those movies connected in a real way. And thank God I did it. I was like a little bit on the fence because Workaholics was already at least a culty hit, cool with the people, and with
the right crowd,
and with the people that I wanted it to be cool with. And so I remember when they gave me the offer, I gave it to the guys. I gave it to specifically Durs and Blake and was like, yo, would you guys mind taking a look at this? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I definitely thought it was a funny script, but I wasn't sure, Yeah. And Durs read it and was like, yo, I think that you're going to be really funny. Even if the movie ends up not being that funny, you being a sort of egomaniac collegiate singer will be inherently funny. And I'm like, yeah, okay, good. I kind of think so too. And then Blake was like, yeah, me too. And then we were working late that night in our office working on the show. And I remember he comes into my office and goes, hey, can I talk to you? And I'm like, sure. And he's like, don't do the movie. He's like, you're going to ruin everything if you do this movie. He's like, we have a good thing going here. You're going to be a song and dance man in a teenager comedy. Like, this is not cool, man. Don't do this shit. And so then I was like, I had a existential crisis. I was like, fuck, man. Am I going to ruin everything? But then thank God I did it, because without doing that, Hollywood's a weird place where someone has to open the door for you. You have to be allowed to come into the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have to go like, okay, and now you can be in movies.
Yeah.
Go. And without doing Workaholics and kind of being a little breakout character in that series, Pitch Perfect, without doing that, I wouldn't have been able to go on and do the other movies that I've been able to do with larger leading roles.
It is Hollywood is weird like that. I remember my whole career being like, I just want to sell something. I want to sell it. Like I want to go in the room and sell something. And I sold sitcoms when I was younger. Like my first 2 years, I was in development deals and then had a TV show, had another TV show. And then I got put on like time out and I could not sell anything. And then all of a sudden something happens and you go into rooms and sell things on accident. And you're like, oh, fuck. Like, I just attach myself to something. Do I want to do this? This podcast is brought to you by Hims. Take a look at this. Take a look at this hair. You see this hair? Yeah. Well, you know, when I was a kid, I was 22 years old, I started losing my hair and I stopped it in its tracks. I did something about that. And if you are one of the 66% of men that start losing their hair by the age of 35, you can stop it too. It starts moving backwards. You see in a bald spot, preventing hair loss is the thing to do. A lot of guys turn to weird solutions. They like snake oil pills and gas station remedies when you can turn to medicine and science. For Hims is one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness, all for men. It's time to write a new chapter in your life. That chapter starts with hair. Thanks to science, baldness is now optional. Like I said, Hims is letting dudes be the best version of themselves with licensed medical professionals and FDA-approved products to help treat hair loss. Prescription solutions backed by science. I love this company because it was created by a dude who knows a lot of dudes don't like going to the doctor. They'd rather have a health conversation online than in person. So now you don't have to wait in those awkward in-person doctor long lines at the pharmacy or doctor visits. For Hims connects you with licensed medical professionals online, which should save you hours. Completely discreet and confidential. Answer a few quick questions. Medical professional is going to review it. They'll determine if it's right for you. And if it is, they're going to prescribe you the medication that can treat your hair loss that is shipped directly and discreetly to your door. Today, Hims is giving you their best offer yet. If you are not happy with your results after 90 days, Hims will give you a full refund. And right now, my listeners can get their first visit absolutely for free. Go to forhims.com/Bertcast. That's forhims.com/Bertcast. Disclaimer. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Remember, that's forhims.com/Bertcast. I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Whoop. A lot of us are trying to get back at it to work on our fitness and our health, and there are a lot of challenges for us trying to make that happen right now. Some people are able to work out with personal trainers like my wife, but not everyone, to be honest with you, not everyone can afford it, and not everyone is comfortable with it. Whoop is the most powerful fitness membership there is, and they're here to help you with that. Whoop is a fitness tracker that literally is like having a personal trainer on your wrist for less than $1 a day. It's one of the only fitness wearables that helps quantify how well I'm performing, sleeping, and recovering. I use it to track key metrics like my heart rate variability, resting heart rate, respiratory heart rate, and my sleep. I all track that on a scale. The thing's amazing. It's really like having a personal trainer that knows so much about me, because when you wake up, you get a recovery score that lets you know how your body's ready to perform that day. Or if it needs rest, which mine usually needs a little more rest. You get a target exertion goal to aim for based on your recovery, so you know how hard your workout should be. And based on how intense your day is, it then lets you know how much sleep your body's going to need to recover. Whoop is the best fitness tracker I have ever used. One of the best memberships I've ever seen. For just $30 a month, you get personalized insights 24/7. They are with you every moment of your day that quantify the data to help you better understand your body on a deeper level. Whoop goes beyond just tracking calories and heart rate. Monitors sleep, strain, and recovery with personalized feedback all in real time within their app. It is the biggest reason I recommend it to anyone trying to get in shape or just trying to build healthier habits and lifestyles in general. For all my listeners right now, Whoop is offering 15% off all memberships. Give Whoop a shot. And if it's not for you, they offer you a 30-day return policy, no questions asked. head over to whoop.com. That's WHOOP.com and enter Bert, BERT at checkout to save 15% off. Join Whoop today. Sleep better, recover faster, and train smarter. Yeah, Pitch Perfect was so good because you got attached to the person I think is one of the most fucking hilarious human beings alive is fucking Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, Rebel's so funny. And by the way, I've actually known Rebel for so long. Oh, yeah. And she's a bitch.
When she was overweight, she was hot. Like, I was attracted to her. Overweight, she's skinny as shit now, but like, fucking, she was in Night at the Museum when she wore 2 or whatever, which one she was in. Mm-hmm. She got gorgeous.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
I know she's overweight, but I didn't. I was like, and you were doing scenes with her.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is like talking about like how specifically comedians come up in like graduating classes. Rebel was on Workaholics, if you remember. She was in the Juggalo episode, season 1. We did a scene, an episode where we go to a Juggalo's like dark carnival of the souls, like their big concert. Yeah. And we go there and I end up befriending her. And I'm like kind of disgusted by Rebel's character named Big Money Hustler. And then we end up making out and like I paint myself like a juggalo and I'm drinking Faygo and I'm doing the whole fucking thing. And we actually knew Rebel pretty early on. Our casting director was like, there's this girl from Australia. We think you'd really like her. And Jillian, when we were writing the show, we wrote the character Jillian for our friend Jillian Bell, but she just booked SNL to write on SNL that same year, of course. And we're like, well, fuck, are we going to lose Jillian to SNL? And so we were thinking, we might pivot and give it to this girl that we just met, who's really funny, Rebel. And then it worked out that Jillian could actually do it. And we gave it to Jillian. And then we found a role for Rebel later in the season. And then, so when I did Pitch Perfect, I already knew her and was like, oh, this is great. Like, I already know her. She knows me. We get along. This will be fun. We're good at improvising together. So
the fucking movie you guys made was funny as fucking shit.
Oh, isn't it romantic?
Is that the one on Netflix? Yeah. The fucking that is the funniest goddamn movie.
Yeah, thanks. That was so fun. We got to shoot that also in New York. And the whole premise of the movie is like we're sort of stuck in a rom-com world. And
no. Oh, that was first of all, yes, that was awesome. That one's awesome. I'm talking about the movie that Workaholics shot.
Oh, the Game Over Man.
Oh, Game Over Man. By the way, hold on. Yes, first of all, I'm obsessed with any sort of time travel, time loop.
Yeah,
thing.
Me too. Yeah.
I think I told you that. I'm obsessed with that. So I love that movie. But I was talking about Game Over Man was fucking hilarious.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, that was that movie was so fucking insane. We did it and it was a hit for Netflix. And it was like number 1 in 120 countries or whatever, you know. And they were like, oh, this is great. And then they were like, but we're not making movies like this anymore. They got so much hate. Like the executives, they were told me, they're like, oh, everyone called us and were like, how are you making movies like this? Because it was so violent and so insane. And a dog exploded and my dick's out for minutes at a time. And so we like...
Doesn't Durs come out as gay? Or no,
Blake does. Yeah. Yeah.
It was one of the things. It's like one of those things where you're just like, hold on, wait, what is this? Did this character just come out as gay? Like that was such a great fucking, and that's why I'm so excited for y'all's podcast, because I don't think there's anything you guys haven't done as a team where I haven't been 100% in like dying laughing.
Yeah, thanks, man. And doing the podcast is I get why you guys all, like I kind of saw your whole crew and like doing all the podcasts and stuff, and I was like jealous. I was like, oh, they all get to just do this and hang out with their friends every week, and not only is it super fun, but it also kind of just feeds the machine of also then people will listen, they'll like what you do, then they come to shows, then they, you know, and it all sort of works together. But I was like, what do I want to do a podcast by myself? And the guys kind of, because none of them are comedians. Like they don't do stand up. So it's like less beneficial for them. And it didn't take until the pandemic hit. And then they were like just sitting around, not doing shit. And they're like, okay, we'll finally do the podcast. And I was like, yes.
I'm telling you, man, everything you guys have done has been like right in my wheelhouse for sense of humor. And it's funny you say that about us. Tom and I are now trying to go your direction and take, whatever we're trying to make movies now. And so it's interesting how little we know about that shit. Like just the process in general. We had this idea we had a couple ideas that got kicked around, and then all of a sudden, different. Both of us, our specials did pretty well, and then all of a sudden, like people are like, "Hey man, what you want to make that?" I was on a phone call with them the other day. Neither of us had really understood how producers worked. Like we were like, we're like, do we get involved with a producer or a studio or like what? Like because we're getting these weird offers of like, which I'm sure is like probably not real, but could be real type things.
Yeah, it's like if they get enough of the right people attached, then it becomes real. But initially, it just isn't. It's just, it's totally fake.
Ugh, I mean, it's been fascinating. But both Tom and I are now like trying to go like, what the fuck? What do we like? We're two grown-ups in this business. We're successful. We don't like, but we're like, you definitely. How do you come to Hollywood and not make a movie?
For sure. Well, it's the movie game is completely different than comedy or podcasting or anything. What's so great, what I love so much about stand-up and podcasting, I guess, is because you're in complete control. Yeah. Like once you go on stage, that's your stage for an hour. You can do whatever you want. If you fail, it's because you failed. You know what I mean? Like you suck. Yeah. But with movies, there's so many goddamn moving parts, and things can one thing can happen and the whole thing will just collapse. And I've had that multiple times where I'm like about to go shoot a big movie, and then one person steps out, and then the whole production just grinds to a halt, and then we can't get the machine going again. And you're like, okay, on to the next one. That's why it's important to just have like 10 things that you're excited about. And then whichever one ends up going first, that's what you end up doing, Did
you have a bunch of shit fall out with the beginning of the pandemic?
Yeah. Well, I was about to go shoot season 2 of the Righteous Gemstones.
By the way, another fucking amazing show.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'm like, I was such a Danny McBride fan that I'm like.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He's just like he's like on my Mount Rushmore of
the greatest comedy scene ever. Greatest comedy scene ever, in my opinion, is and I know this is a big statement, and I know this isn't going to fulfill it, but the end. This is the end. With all those guys, and Danny McBride wakes up in the tub, and the music's playing, and he's pissing on the seat, and he's smoking like that. That walk is just. It's everything I've ever wanted to do in comedy. Like, and that sounds silly, but it's that energy is like, that character, that guy, that this is, I mean, it's just, he's amazing.
Yeah. And Danny's also like one of those guys where they say like, don't meet your heroes, but then you meet Danny and he's actually even cooler than you would think he is. Well, he's like kind of what we were saying earlier, where it's like, and I feel we both sort of fall in this, the same sort of realm, where it's like, you know him as Danny McBride, as Kenny fucking Powers, you know what I mean? And you're like, you expect him to be, he's like super put together. He's a super nice guy. I mean, he's like a machine. He writes every episode. He's like, and so like, but he still has that 20% of Kenny fucking Powers in him that makes you fall out of the chair laughing.
He is so funny.
Yeah. So anyway, I was about to go do that. I was in Charleston, had the whole, got everything set up, like rented it. Cause I'm there for like 4 or 6 months when I shoot the show. So rented like a big, awesome house. I was like, got all situated. And then it was like first day of shooting. And then got a call right before I'm about to leave the set. And they go, hey, hang tight.
Hang tight.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then a few hours later, I'm watching the news and fucking Trump comes on. He's like, it's a global pandemic. I guess people are dying, And I'm like, oh shit. And then they call and they're like, yeah, I think we're going to put a pin in this for a few weeks. And in 3 weeks, we'll gather the troops and find out what we're going to do and probably come back in about 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, 3 weeks. Fucking cut to 8 months later and I'm talking with you. But the plan is to go back for that in February or March and hopefully get to shoot the second season of it. But yeah, I had that. And then since then, it's been like, I had 2 projects set up with Quibi, like 2 like Quibi movies that I was going to do, and one that I was really excited about that was like going to be, it was like a dramatic action movie. And
Really?
and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like kind of the straight man in an action movie. And I'm like, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a weird skill set to like flex, to not pander a little bit and like try to get some laughs, and just be, the straight guy. And then, Quibi just straight up folds, just goes under. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, I've had a few things, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. They're all, I've said to everyone, I feel so blessed that I'm in an opportunity where I don't, I've never been more appreciative of people. And I'm not that I'm not normally appreciative, but like just like I had a toothache one night and I had to go to Rite Aid, and the fact that Rite Aid was open and there was a young lady working behind the counter in a pandemic so that I could get medicine for my tooth, like that for me, I was like, I've been very appreciative. And I've looked at the business differently now because you realize, like, we're doing these drive-in tours and
which look awesome, by the way. I've been fun. God damn, I'm like so jealous of seeing you out there. I'm like, oh, that seems incredible.
Oh, I'm telling you, me, you, and Danny McBride are the ones that could do stuff like this. Yeah. People show up, they tailgate, they fill up the back of their beds with water, the bed of their truck. They have mattresses, they have couches. People are grilling, people are smoking meats, they're cornholing. And the best part is, and this is the part I'm more tethered to, is that because I'm a little OCD about the virus. Like I work in absolutes. So if you say quarantine, then I say the one person that walks in my house is now the weakest link. If you want to quarantine, we have to work in absolutes. Like I'm a lunatic about it. So if for a person like me going to one of these drive-ins, you can hang out in your car and you don't have to get out. You can be safe.
Yeah.
And so it allows you as much comfort and freedom as the next person's willing to offer you. It's really, it was really great. But the thing that overwhelmed me was the first night. And it didn't overwhelm me until Philadelphia when we changed crews. But the first night, everyone came up independently that worked there, that worked on the production. Because we had like 12 people on production, I think, at all time, came up and thanked me for the job. They were like, we've been really financially stressed. And
for sure,
this means a lot, man. I will not break the rules of protocol. I will not do any of this. Well, everyone followed rules. They were like, we need the money. And then you would go to Philly, and the Philly production was massive. I want to say there was like 4,000 people there. And
wow.
So the stage was there. It was a Live Nation event. It was huge. And every one of those fucking dudes who works for, whatever the spectrum is, the stadium there.
Yeah.
It's all working and setting up the stage. All these guys that have been doing John Bon Jovi concerts at once a year, like doing all these big events. Every one of them was like, Bert, don't know me. Bert, thanks for the work, buddy. And you're just like, oh, that's the responsibility, is helping get people, like my appreciation has shifted a great deal. I feel like I want to ask you about the cement truck, but I feel like when you go through something like that, I wonder if at a young age, all of a sudden your appreciation shifts into just mobility and stuff like that. Like, what was that like when you got hit by a cement truck?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for people that don't know, when I was 11 years old, I was going to a convenience store with my friends to, buy candy, and we would rip pages out of like Playboy magazines, and we were going across the street. It's a busy intersection. No
Omaha,
crosswalk.
right?
In Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from. And my one friend was across the street already, and he yells, "Come on," as in I'm a kid excited to see some nipples in this magazine and eat some suckers and some nerd ropes. And he yells, "Come on." And I took it as the coast is clear. And I grew up in the suburbs. So there was new houses being built every day. So 3 cement trucks. Yeah, I think 3 cement trucks were going up the hill and 2 were coming down at the exact same time. So 3 were going up, 2 were coming down. He yells, "Come on," right as the 3rd one passed me. And so I walked out with my bike, got clobbered by the other cement truck coming down the hill, didn't see it, taken under the wheels, spit out, broke every bone from my waist down besides my right femur, broke my ribs, punctured my lung, mess. Couldn't walk for almost 2 years. And and that to me, as weird as it is to say, because I was like a little, I mean, I wasn't like a freak athlete or anything, but I'd liked to play sports when I was a kid. And as a lot of little kids, you think you're going to be a professional athlete. Like, I'm like, well, I'm going to be a professional baseball player. It is what it is. I made the all-star team in 4th grade, so I'm well on my way. And then, you know, all of a sudden everything shifted and I was like, oh, I'll never be an athlete. Not like that. Like, and you know, it's going to be a long road to even learn how to walk again. But I was always a pretty funny kid. So I started like kind of gearing myself towards comedy and like actually like looking at comedians as how I used to look at baseball players. Yeah. Where I was like, oh, that's a thing I can do if I practice and learn the moves, sort of, you know?
God. Did it hurt? I mean, that's a silly question, but do you remember?
Yeah, Bert.
No, but but like, do you remember? Can you quantify the pain you were in at that age, or do you just go into shock?
Yeah, I was shocked, and then I was also on like a lot of pain meds. But yeah, it hurt a lot. You know, and I think I'm always in like a certain amount of pain, but I don't even know what it would feel like to not feel that. Yeah. So I don't know, you know. It's just sort of what I live with now because my knees are still fucked up and, you know, I'm still, shit's still wonky.
Didn't you say it shattered? It almost shattered everything below your knees.
Below the knees, it was completely shattered and they had to reconstruct my shins and ankles and feet and toes and all that. And, it was a real mess, but to what you were saying, as far as I also feel like very blessed that at that age it was able to see like how fragile life is and how you have to go full steam ahead on no matter what you're doing and just go 100% at what you want to get out of life, whether that be, you know, a relationship with your friends or with the woman that you love or with your career or, you know, I'm like, there's no half-ass in it anymore because I'm like, a truck could just turn a corner and crush me at any second. So, yeah. So, you know, not to get too heavy, but I think like there is a part of me that feels that it could end at any moment. So I might as well just go do it as big as I can.
God, man, I can't imagine. I mean, it's funny. I guess we all have our own things where you go, well, that happened to me, but you know, you get through it. You know, oddly enough, you're probably not scared of doctors and surgeries. You're like, oh, that's part of my life. I had surgeries all growing up to repair everything.
Yeah,
just one more surgery. Do you remember your last surgery?
Yeah, I busted my knee. Actually, shooting was that the last one? I think it was. Yeah, I think my last surgery was I was shooting Workaholics, and it was a basketball scene where like we were doing an office 3-on-3 basketball tournament, you know, and it was towards the end of the series when we were running out of ideas and we're like, it's a basketball tournament. I don't know. This is season 7. I don't know. But I wasn't even on screen and I went to grab a ball and like it bounced off out of frame and I went to grab it and I turned too quickly and my knee just exploded. And I tore my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus. It was just mangled. And It was just so disappointing. But I actually went there. We rewrote the episode. I was on the phone with our showrunner as I'm going to the hospital, pitching ideas to how to fix the episode, because we still had 3 more days of shooting on this episode. And we came up with an idea that I actually was drinking too much caffeine. I was like, I was taking Mexican steroids, and I ended up having a heart attack, and now I can't move for the rest of and they had to bring in a ringer. And so we got, what was his name? Some like one basketball player that I'm totally blanking on his name.
Professor?
It wasn't the professor. It was like Spider or Skip to My Lou or
yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a famous one basketball player, and then he came in as like my double or whatever, and and so we quickly rewrote that episode. But that was my last surgery. I'm not worried about surgeries at all. There's like, terrifying. I think going through something like that at such an early age did make me less fearful of shit. You know what I mean? You know how, like, especially when you're younger, you could just be so. And anyone that's like coming up in comedy, it's really easy to just not do something because you're scared, and then you end up talking yourself as if that was you made the right decision, but you're just being a bitch. You know, you're like, you shouldn't go talk to that person because it wouldn't be appropriate or whatever. But it's always fine. Everybody,
don't get on the treadmill at the hotel. You might have a heart attack. No one's in there to save you.
Yeah, exactly. You better not. You better just stay at the bar.
This podcast is brought to you by DHM Detox. I should say this tour, my whole last tour and this past week was brought to you by DHM Detox. DHM Detox is here to help maximize your life moments. My wife's in here. Last night we celebrated building out the new man cave and podcast studio. We split a bottle of champagne, and of course
we split a bottle of champagne.
And of course, I took my DHM Detox. It's like my little drinking buddy. You take 2 capsules after your first drink, and it goes to work. Double it up if you have a bigger night. And we took these every night on the road. Every night on the road, everyone would just pass them around and be like, this is my buddy. No more Sunday scaries or feeling like garbage. All you got to do, take those 2 capsules after your first drink, and bam, join the tens of thousands of people that are using DHM Detox as their drinking buddy as we were on tour. It is the vitamins for people who like to enjoy their drinks. DHM Detox uses science to help boost your body's natural response to alcohol and break down those toxins. They're easy to share with friends and family. Also, they just launched their new hydration replenisher, which pairs perfectly with DHM Detox. No Days Wasted offers a risk-free purchase. So if you don't love it, they'll refund your first box. We've got you right now. 20% off your first order and free shipping in the U.S. Just head over to nodayswasted.co/Bert and use a promo code Bert at checkout. That's nodayswasted.co/Bert and use the promo code Bert at checkout. This podcast is brought to you by Harry's.com. Let me tell you something. I use a razor. I like to keep my shit tight, but I'm very specific about where I shave. I shave right in this area, right here, right under here, all here. And you need a very specific, sharp, kind of detailed razor. You can't just use those bullshit ones. And that's why I love Harry's razors. They're close shave, smooth glide. And the best is for a guy that doesn't need it to shave his whole face and doesn't want to spend a ton of money. They're super low prices. Right now, U.S. customers can redeem a Harry's trial set by going to harrys.com/Bert. You'll get everything you need for just $3. These are an honest, valued razor. Harry's is founded by 2 friends, Jeff and Andy, who were tired of overpaying for razors like my dad. My dad, that's his biggest pet peeve. They thought most brands were overdesigned, overpriced, and out of touch. So they founded Harry's as a return to the essential quality blade at an honest price as low as $2 per refill. Harry's founders wanted to sell products they were proud of, so they raised a bunch of money to buy a razor factory in Germany, and they've been honing precision blades for over 100, who have been honing precision. Jeff and Andy haven't been doing this for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process from research and design to the factory floor. That allows them to keep the prices super low, and they're delivering the best, sharpest shaves and they aren't even raising the price. Their new blades are so sharp that guys are shaving 4 times a week with Harry's new blades, and their 8th shave was just as smooth as their first shave. They confidently stand by their blades with a 100% money-back guarantee at harrys.com. Right now, Harry's is available anywhere you shop. It really is. I see it over at the store where I get my prescriptions at. I don't want to say the name of the store because I'm certain that's probably a bad thing. Anyway, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New U.S. customers can redeem a Harry's trial set at harrys.com/Bert for just $3. You get a 5-blade razor featuring their new sharper blades and an ergonomic weighted handle, foam shaving gel with aloe, and a travel cover to protect your blade when you're on the go. Just go to harrys.com/Bert and redeem your trial offer today. I am having problems with my knee right now. I've been trying to run 1,000 miles this year, and all of a sudden yesterday my knee started hurting, and it's like very specific, and I'm like, ooh, I think that's like a meniscus thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm taking today off from running. I'm just going to take a Xanax and go to sleep.
Yeah. The meniscus is a thing that like you don't really, I mean, you don't really need it unless it really, really hurts to where you can't do something. A lot of times though, because I have, my meniscuses are all fucked up, and they go like, look, we can go in and try to fix it. Or just don't unless it hurts you too much and you can't get it fixed. But that's incredible. You really do. You're so impressive when it comes to, I see you on your Instagram stories and how you just like will run a marathon, and like just even watching you on that treadmill, that hurts my knees. Dude. I'm like, how do you fucking do that? I couldn't imagine.
Punitive. I'm very punitive. I'm not that, which is not great for parenting. Did you go to like the St. Jude's or the Shriners?
No, I was at Children's Miracle Network, and then Children's Hospital of Omaha, and that's where I kind of spent most of my time, and Memorial Hospital in Omaha.
I love the relationship you have with your dad. I love.
Yeah,
I nothing's made me happier than when you were doing the MTV Movie Awards or Movie Awards, and you were flying in a private jet with your dad, and your dad was like, me and Cigar were talking about it last night. We had dinner together, and we were talking. We brought you and your dad up, and then we ended up talking about our dads and like how a dad gets to celebrate your success, like he gets to succeed through your success in a weird way.
I know, and my dad also, like, I mean, he's such a funny guy, but you know, in his generation, there was no following your dreams by moving to LA, you know? And so like when I started to do this, to both of my parents' credit, they like were about it. Also, I think their child was almost killed. So
are you an only child?
No, I have a sister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I met her.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So yeah, you're their only child. Their oldest child was almost killed.
Yeah. So then after that, when I was like, I think I want to move to LA and try to do acting and comedy, they, to their credit, they're like, hell yeah, get it. And I'm like, okay. And so they were like, and I had friends, you know, that especially when I was coming up when I was younger, that they're like, my parents, they hate what I'm trying to do, or they're not supportive at all. And I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky when it comes to shit like that. Cause my parents are like, hell yeah. Like I remember my dad I booked a Taco Bell commercial, was like my first thing that when I went home, I remember going home for Thanksgiving. And I was in a bar, just a shitty local bar I think it was called the Pheasant Tavern. And there's televisions around the entire bar, you know, Omaha, all we have to do is watch football. And it's just a close up on my face as the beginning of the commercial. And my dad's like, shut up, everybody. Adam's on the TV. And then my dad gets the whole bar of like 200 people to chant Adam.
Oh, what a fun fucking dad.
Yeah, just like like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And then we all stumbled into Thanksgiving the next day, just with our heads all swollen and like shaking while we're eating turkey because we were so hungover from the night before. those are the memories that I cherish.
I remember, I vividly remember, I don't know if it was on Instagram or what, but your dad in a private jet drinking Bud Lights or something with you just going, yeah, like really loving life. How do you not appreciate a man that goes, this is it. It happened.
Yeah. They're both really stoked, obviously, on everything that's happened. But specifically that night, I'm so embarrassed by it. But not really, because I still do it. But I hosted the MTV Movie and TV Awards like 2 or 3 years ago now. 2 years, I don't know. And they gave me a private jet because I was shooting Game Over Man, and I had to be back in Vancouver the next day to shoot. And so they're like, we'll give you a private jet. And then they're like, no, we can give you the smallest we could give you is a 8-person. And then the largest is an 18-person private jet. And I go, I think I'll need the 18-person private jet. And then it's just me and 17 of my family and friends flying to Vancouver. None of them had to be there to shoot the next day, but I think Blake was there. They didn't have to be in the jet, but everyone just flew to Vancouver, and then like a day later just took a commercial flight and went back to LA, like just to party on this private jet. But I just hosted the movie award, so like everybody's on my Instagram, so I'm getting like almost 1 million people watching my Instagram stories. You know how you can see like how many people. And so it's like 1 million people. And throughout the night, I'm like, we go to the after party and Steve Aoki puts me on the shoulder and I'm caking someone and I'm like filming myself the whole time, selfie style. And then I get on the jet with my family. And the whole time I'm like slurry drunk and I'm going like, looks like they'll give me the private jet. And then I keep saying, it is what it is. And I'm like, who am I, man? It is what it is. What does that even mean? And I'm like, this is what it is. Here we go. And then we get on this private jet. And I remember that poor stewardess was like, flight attendant. We were like, I'm sure you probably get a lot of this. You know, people get on private jet and wiling out and acting crazy. And she goes, this is hands down the wildest flight I've ever taken. She goes, usually it's just businessmen doing work. It's never this. We were like, they didn't even tell us to like buckle up when we landed just because we were too wild. I think they were just like, they're not going to just land the plane.
That's the way private jets should be. Like I've flown private a couple times and
it's the coolest. I mean, every time that it's ever happened to me, every time I'm like,
yeah, I'm overwhelmed. It's very different when you pay for it. Like when you pay for it yourself, which I've done maybe like four times. Mm-hmm. I always get this feeling like, why aren't more people with me? I'm by myself. But it's always for work. It's always like every time, I feel like I have to justify the fact that I've flown private, but like I have to sell tickets in Cleveland. So, and I need to get there to do Rover in the morning. That will make more money than this jet will cost. Yeah. I've got to get home to do the Two Bear One Cave live event. I need to get back on I always want to pack it up with people. I always want to do what you did. And the only time I've ever gotten that, we were on the road. We were in Salt Lake City and I think we were in Salt Lake City and we did 2 shows. And I just said I was like, how much does it cost to fly private home? And they're like, smallest plane? I was like, smallest plane. Just, yeah. And they're like, I think it was like, I want to say it was like $7,000. It wasn't even that much. Considering, that I had a whole crew with me and I surprised everyone. And it was like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, come on guys, we all had the same tracksuits on. I shot a video for it. It was
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, every time I get on a private jet, I think of you and your family on that jet going, that's how it's supposed to be done.
Well, it's also I feel like if I were to pay for it, I might not have been as wild as we were, because then you're thinking like, well, don't jump on the seat. Well, I have to pay for the new seats. Like, hey, there's champagne everywhere. I'm going to have to, it'll be like $1,000 cleaning bill if we get it all over, but this time we were fully out of our minds. And the fact that I then the next day had to shoot, I had to shoot all night. It was like a whole night shoot the next day for Game Over Man. And you see it in my face too. And like some of those scenes where I'm like, I knew that it was the next day. I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking a little poofy in the gills.
Yeah.
Like this part stretched out a little bit.
Let's talk sneakers for a second.
Okay.
Because you're the person that kind of got me into sneakers. I'd never been into a sneaker store. I'd never given a fuck about sneakers in my entire life. And then we were in whatchamacallit, and you were like, oh, there's this great sneaker shop. And I remember walking in with you, and I bought.
Where were we?
We were in somewhere like Southern California, meaning like lower than here, maybe Huntington Beach or something. And you were with your girlfriend, I think, at the time. And I was shooting trip flip. We were casting.
Oh, that's right.
And I ran into my whole crew lit up. They're like, hey, we're going to get a season 3. We just saw Adam. And so.
How weird. I forgot all about that. I was like, once again, I'm just like out in the wild and I see you just out and about, like not even because, it makes sense when you're like a comedian and you're in town and then there's another comedian at the club down the street in town. But just to like see you out and about was a good sign. And you went
to that you were going to a sneaker shop.
Uh-huh.
And I had never thought to buy sneakers ever in my life. It wasn't something on my radar. And you're like, oh yeah, come on in. And I walked in with you and they had a pair and I've looked for these because I want them. I want the same pair, but new.
Uh-huh.
There were these Adidas that were, it was like kangaroo leather. It was like really fine leather, like really soft. And they're like Stan Smiths, but they were like super soft. And I bought 2 pairs. I bought a pair for myself and a pair for my dad. Those were my first sneakers I ever bought. And now I have a fucking closet full of fucking sneakers.
Oh, really? You went deep.
I started going deep. And I was like, it's because of you. Had I not walked in that fucking place, I would have never gotten, because then you start, it's almost like, for me, it's like, sometimes I was talking to Bert about this, but we buy shit from our childhood, like football.
Yeah, you buy shit that you wish you could have bought when you were a kid is what I find.
Yeah. And so I started buying sneakers of sneakers I liked. I was like, ooh, I love the fucking first Jordans. Oh shit. And then now I'm like.
And then now you got closets full. I know I kind of maxed out like the amount of closet. I like built closets in my spare bedroom. So now when like my family comes to visit me and then they are sleeping in the spare, now there's just a wall of my tennis shoes that they have to look at. And so it's like, it's weird. I feel like I've tapped out on my sneaker because also I don't want to throw any of them away and none of them are dirty enough to be like, I got to just get rid of these. So I'm like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah. What are your favorite type? What's your favorite type of sneaker?
Well, you know what? I moved to the beach recently. I bought a house in Orange County, like on the beach. So, so like my whole style has changed. And I just sort of am shoeless or just Vans. Like I have so many Vans, and Vans are cool too, because it's really obtainable. Like, sometimes when I was like deeper into sneakers, I just I'm like, oh, why am I wearing like $250 sneakers? And then Vans are cool because they're $50. Everyone can get a pair of Vans for the most part. And they do have like every type of different, you can customize them and do your own shit. So yeah, I have a lot of Vans right now.
I got to get you a pair of my flip-flops. I have a line of flip-flops.
Oh, I saw that. That's awesome. Yeah. And don't you have some, like, aren't they house shoes as well?
House shoes and flip-flops. Yeah. My house shoes they just make a great house shoe. And they sent them to us when we started talking about doing a flip-flop. And my wife fell in love with those house shoes. And I wore them when we did the cabin. I wore them every day doing the cabin. And I was like, these things fucking rock. And so then as a surprise, they made us a line of house shoes and sent them to us. And we were like, let's just fucking do a small batch release. And, because people will like them, and everyone, I've sent them to everyone, and fucking everyone loves them.
That's awesome. I know since the quarantine hit, I'm like, I've upped my sweatpant game. I've got my flip-flop games at an all-time high, my house shoes. I'm like, I'm just a comfortable little koala.
Dude, I'll tell you what, my sweatpant game is next fucking level. Like I have my pajama game, my hoodie game. I bet I could match anyone hoodie for hoodie. I've got probably 40 hoodies that I keep on rotation. I'm obsessive. And then people know I like hoodies. Oh, dude, I'll tell you, well, let's just be real. My fucking hat game, no one can hold a game. I would put my hat game up against any comics hat game.
I have a lot of hats, and admittedly I'm jealous of your hat game. The fact that you actively were like, I'm going to be the AAA baseball team or the minor league baseball team hat guy. As soon as I saw you, because when you're in these smaller towns and they have you try to go to some of those games because the littler the team is, the more fun their games are, because they're like, we have to do other shit to keep people entertained, and it's awesome. And so I've gotten a few hats over the years that I'm like, oh, this hat rules. And then I saw you sort of stake the claim, and you're like, well, this is my thing. And now I'm like, well, I can't also do that because Bert already did it.
No, what it is, I have a big head. I have a size 8 head. So so you can't find hats that are, and what was happening was I would have hats, like I would always have a Yankees hat because I performed in New York. So I'd grab a Yankees hat. I'd grab a Boston hat. And what was happening was you'd wear a Boston hat in fucking LA, and every jackass who grew up outside Boston was like, yo, you see the Sox score today? And I'm like, I'm not a Boston fan. Then why are you wearing the hat? And I'm like, oh, I have a big head. Yeah, you do have a big head. And you're like, oh, great. I didn't want to get no interaction.
Yeah.
So I started getting minor league teams just going like, hey, when I'm in your city, someone grab me a hat. I'll pay for it. Someone grab me a hat. And then fans started bringing hats to the shows. And then minor league teams just started sending them like crazy.
Well, what's cool is something like that. It's like, if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you won't be like, yo, you see the score today. Yeah. And, because they won't even know what the fuck that slushy on your cap is or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. I have so many hats that my wife is kind of losing her mind about it because I have nowhere to put them. And hats are just, it's fucking, sweaters.
Well, those are good. I'd say those are good collections to have, like hats and sneakers for the most part, because you can't get into like for a second I was like, well, maybe I'm going to be a watch guy, and then I have a handful of watches, and I still really like watches, but then I'm like, no, I'm not going to be this guy. What am I going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on watches, and then I, don't work for a couple of years because XYZ happens. And now I'm like just an asshole that has to sell my house, but I have all these fucking watches. You know what I mean? Like
cars.
I'm not trying to go under. I'm not trying to go under because of my watch collection or cars. Exactly.
Cars. I don't have fancy taste. I'm always curious. I got into keychains recently. Yesterday, I posted a thing about keychains. I lost both my keys. I didn't have keychains on them. And then, they're just a little pod. And so I lost both my keys, and we found both my keys. So I put these big carabiners on it so I couldn't lose them. Then I said to everyone, hey, just out of curiosity, text me pictures of your keychains on Twitter. And it was fucking fascinating to see what people have on their keychains.
I think I saw some of that. Yeah.
It's so fast. And then I started going, I wonder what celebrity keychains look like. Like Jason Momoa. Is that his name? Jason
Momoa? Yeah.
Jason Momoa. He's got like a big long leather whip with fucking feathers off of it. Like,
connected like a Bowie knife or something.
Yeah, connected to a Bowie knife. Just it hangs down and drags on the ground.
Yeah, he has a shield that it's connected to that in order to get into his and he doesn't drive a normal car. It's some car you've never even heard of. That was like some sort of like Peruvian military vehicle or something.
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher has some sort of multi-tool / bottle opener on his because he's so Iowa. That he's like, well, comes in handy,
I feel like Kutcher's thing, though, it would also be like weirdly high tech because he invests in all those like tech companies.
The USB port.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a retina scanner to get into his car.
Yeah. I didn't get, I got lucky about collecting things. I don't have a lot of things that I collect. What's funny? When I first met Joe, I walked into his house, and in his office where we did the podcast was like floor to ceiling boxes of shit people were sending him. And I was like, God, I remember thinking, this sounds so weird. I go, if you could get there to that level of success, that I'd be happy. Just people sending me shit. And now I literally have nothing but boxes in this room. And I'm like, enough of the fucking boxes. I can't, like, people send you the weirdest shit where you're like, fucking, some people send you stuff where you're like, I wonder if I have that one thing. Some people send you stuff like this guy sent me a surfboard carving kit, but it's miniature. So you can carve your own surfboard, but it's only this big. And I was like, that's a fucking brilliant business plan. Because I was like, I've always wanted to shave a surfboard, but who wants to get all the fun? You know, like I want to
surf with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to take a stab at it, but I don't want to do the whole surfboard.
Yeah, you don't.
And then if I like it, maybe I'll get into surfboard making.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I will say that when Workaholics was full steam ahead, my fiance, we've been engaged a little over a year now. And since the pandemic hit, we can't get married until like next year. But when we were just dating, she did not give a shit about my house. Like, you know, she's like, you need a plant. And I'm like, well, if you want to. And she's like, no, you didn't earn it yet. But as soon as I put a ring on it, suddenly I have like plants all over. There's rugs. You know, we're like, she's nesting into this house. And she's just digging shit out of closets that I'm like, oh, I put that there 5 years ago and like haven't looked at it. And it's just like, hey, do you need this? You have a box of 15 fleshlights? And I'm like, do I?
Don't throw those away.
Yeah, I'm like, I need those. So now like I have a box of like boxes of like regifts of things that like either like fleshlights where I'm like, it's, you know, someone might want these, but it's like weird. It's like alien vagina, you know, it's like
I fuck that.
Yeah. All right.
The blue one?
Yeah, the green one. And I'm going to give it to you. Guess what? You got a little Christmas gift, a belated birthday gift coming your way.
We ran into the fleshlight people in Montreal one year, and like with a bunch of comics, and they're like, and we're all sitting around, and I said, so what do you guys do? And they go, we own a company called Fleshlight. And man, every comic perked up like, hey, you guys send any free products out?
Yeah. Admittedly, I did. I tried. It's too big of a thing. Have you ever you know what you guys need to get involved in? You guys is Tenga eggs.
Oh,
you messed with a Tenga egg. Okay.
I fucked everything there is.
Okay, good. You fucked a Tenga egg.
The first one I got, the first time because Joe was always like, you got to try them, man. They're pretty fucking amazing. The fleshlights. And I was in Miami and I went over, I was going to go eat lunch and I saw a sex store and I was like, oh, I'm going to get a fucking fleshlight. So I walked in and I was like, hey, do you guys have like a fleshlight? Is that like a thing? And he goes, we got fucking a can. And I was like, I'll take it. Yeah. And it was a beer can.
You go into like sex stores and it's, at least for me, I'm always like a little like, yeah, you know, like you're kind of as if it's a joke or you're like, it's a prank that you're going to, and then those people are just so jaded and they've seen everything and they're like, yeah, I got fucking a can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to fuck a can? I guess. All right. I guess I want to fuck a can.
He goes, you want lube? I was like, no, I want to rape it. Yeah. Of course I want fucking lube. You kidding me?
Yeah.
And then I came home and it wasn't even a vagina. It was just a dude's mouth. It looked like a dude's mouth. It was just like this, like lips, like. He was looking at me like, "Don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it.
Please don't. This is just a can. Respect the sanctity of this aluminum."
Every time I walked into the fucking apartment, the hotel room, you could just see it sitting there like, "Hey, had a good day, man. You should go back out. Don't hang out in here. You know what's going to happen if you."
Yeah, and you know that there's like a housekeeper that came in and just saw that and was just like, ugh.
He must be lonely if he's talking to a beer can.
If he's making out with this beer can.
Oh well, man, this has been great, bro. Congrats on the podcast.
Thanks,
congrats on everything. I honestly can say everything you do, makes me giggle. Everything you do, you have not had a project yet that I fucking wanted to pass on. So I keep making shit because you guys are so in that lane, and I'm certain I can't wait to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, well, thanks, man, and I appreciate. I'm such a fan of you, and I'm excited to see that movie that you and Tom are going to get off the ground. I know you are.
Well, that's interesting. Get off the ground. It's called Fat Astronauts. So we'll
yeah, hopefully you launch soon.
Well, dude, congrats. Listen, we're building a podcast studio. And when things loosen up with restrictions, I would love to have you in there, have a drink.
Oh, hell yeah. No, that'd be a blast. Please. Yes, please. Let me be the first one in the gate. I'd love to. Done.
Hey, awesome, congrats on the engagement. Congrats on everything, bro. I absolutely love you. And it's so good to see you blow up and succeed this way and just stay exactly who the fuck you are. Like you're doing Hollywood right. You really are.
Thanks, man. You too. I feel the exact same way.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll talk to you later. Hey, I don't have your number, but I'm going to have my people send over. I don't think I have your number. Do I have your number?
I think you do. I think I've sent you some very drunk text messages.
I do have your number. I do. Oh, I do. Oh, that was a good one. I forget what you said, but you said, keep on keeping on, brother, whatever.
Dude, it was like, I don't know. I remember like the next day I woke up and I texted a few people. I was like blackout drunk. Yeah. There's a bar down the street of my house in Orange County. It's like a local beach bar. And they pour drinks to the brim with and you're just like, oh, this is poison. Nice. Need to have 3. And I always just start drunk texting people. And then I'll look and it's just like all people that I like and respect, but then drunkenly will text them positive things, but for sure they're like, oh, this guy has no recollection of texting you that. And I felt that way when the next day I looked at that text and was like, Jesus Christ, Adam. God, get it together, buddy.
Oh, I got such bragging rights because I was sitting watching a movie with my girls that night and my phone was over there and it buzzed and your name popped up and Georgia goes, is that Bumper? And I went, oh yeah. And she goes, shut up. You know him?
Yeah. I was like, what did he say? And you're like, honestly, it doesn't make any sense. Honestly, I don't know if this is a voice to text total fuck up or what's happening over there. If he's just stroking out, but
oh, awesome, dude. Well, I can't wait to listen to your podcast. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Stay safe.
Later, bud. See you, man.
Later,
bye.